Joshua, today will I magnify you before the people. They're going to know that as I was with Moses, I'm going to be with you. And the water from the Jordan River stood up and allowed the priest in the ark to stand in the midst of it as the children of Israel crossed over into the land of Canaan. And they took 12 stones to keep them as a memorial for their children to see. As the Red Sea was parted, the Jordan River stood up and let the children of Israel walk over on dry land. And then God begins to show the children of Israel that if they are faithful, they will be successful in battle. But they lost the first war to Ai because Achan or Achan took of the accursed things. He took a Babylonish garment and some precious metals. But once they got rid of the sin, they stoned him and set him and everything that he had, his family, on fire. God was serious about keeping his law. So Ai and the walls of Jericho have fallen. The city and the king of Jericho has fallen. And the children of Israel, under the leadership of Joshua, are conquering kings and conquering cities. Chapter 11 opens up with King Jabin, king of Hazor, hearing these things. After he heard of what the children of Israel had done under the leadership of Joshua, he sent to Jobab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of Akshaph, and to the kings that were in the north of the mountains and of the plains of Kinneroth, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanite on the east, and on the west, and to the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah. And they went out, they and all their host with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore in multitude, with horses and chariots very many. And when all these kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said unto Joshua, be not afraid because of them. For tomorrow about this time I will deliver them all slain before Israel. Thou shalt hew or haul their horses and burn their chariots with fire. So Joshua came and all the people of war with him against them by the waters of Merom suddenly. And they fell upon them, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them and chased them unto the great Zidon. And to Misrephothmaim, and unto the valley of Mizpah eastward. And they smote them until they left them none remaining. And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him. He hauled their horses and burnt their chariots with fire. And Joshua at that time turned back and took Hazor and smote the king thereof with the sword. For Hazor before time was the head of all those kingdoms. And they smote all the souls or the persons that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. there was not any left to breathe. And he burnt Hazor with fire, and all the cities of those kings, and all the kings of them did Joshua take, and smote them with the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord commanded. But as for the cities that stood still in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save or but Hazor only, did Joshua burn. Standing still in their strength meant they didn't come out against Joshua, as I have interpreted it through my studies. And all the spoil of these cities and the cattle, the children of Israel took for prey unto themselves, but every man they smote with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them, neither left they any to breathe, as the Lord commanded Moses, his servant. As did Moses command Joshua, who served Moses. And so did Joshua. He left nothing undone, all that the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua took all that land, the hills, and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley, and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same. Verse 18 says, Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hittites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All other they took in battle. And we know that the inhabitants of Gibeon came and said that they were from a country far off. And they wore old clothes and brought old molded food to seem like they were a nation from afar off, because they knew all the inhabitants of the land were going to be destroyed. So they made an agreement with them that they would not be destroyed, but that they would be their servants. And after the children of Israel found that they were a people from right there, near to them, they couldn't do anything to them because they made an oath. What type of world will we have if we kept our promises? For it was of the Lord to harden their hearts that they should come against Israel in battle. So the Lord hardened their hearts to cause them to come against Israel so he could destroy them. Because what did we learn in prior books? That they were a sinful people, especially where injustice was and sexual sins. And so the land was spewing them out, that he might destroy them utterly. Verse 20, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them as the Lord commanded Moses. Verse 23, so Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord said unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel according to their divisions by their tribes, and the land rested from war. Chapter 12, now these are the kings of the land, which the children of Israel smote and possessed their land on the other side Jordan, towards the rising of the sun from the river Arnon unto Mount Hermon, and all the plain on the east. The other side of the Jordan is where the wilderness was, and where they came through Egypt up through Moab. And then when it says the other side Jordan, is talking about when they crossed and went over into Canaan. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, remember, they were conquered under the leadership of Moses. Verse 4, and the coast of Og, king of Bashan, which was the remnant of the giants. They destroyed them on the other side as well. Verse 6, them did Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the children of Israel smite. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave that land on the other side, remember? He gave it to the Reubenites and the Gadites and half of the tribe of Manasseh because they asked for it. All of these kings of the country which Joshua and the children of Israel smote on this side Jordan are listed from verses 9 throughout the rest of chapter 12, and you can read it at your leisure. Notice in verse 10, though, the king of Jerusalem. So the city that will become the place where God will put his name there had a king. Chapter 13, now Joshua was old and stricken in years, and the Lord said unto him, Thou art old and stricken in years. But, there remaineth yet much land to be possessed. This is the land that yet remaineth, all the borders of the Philistines, and all Jeshurun. And he goes on to list all of the cities in the land that they had not conquered yet. In verse 7, he said, Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance unto the 9 tribes and the half tribe of Manasseh. So God is saying, continue the battle. Continue your conquest. Take over the rest of the land and divide it to the tribes that are left to receive an inheritance. For those on the other side, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Israel, the half tribe of Manasseh, they have theirs already. Verse 13 says, Nevertheless, the children of Israel expelled not the Jeshurites, the Maacathites, the Jeshurites, and the Maacathites dwell among the children of Israel unto this day. Only unto the tribes of Levi he gave none inheritance. The sacrifices of the Lord God of Israel made by fire are their inheritance. Remember, the tribe of Levi didn't get an actual lot or inheritance of land. They were to build cities for them and cities of refuge and give them the open country, the suburbs for their cattle. And so as we read through the chapter, we see the countries and cities that had been given, but then there were many that were not taken yet. Watch what verse 32 says. The countries that you'll read, my brothers and sisters, down to verse 31, watch what verse 32 says. These are the countries which Moses did distribute for an inheritance in the plain of Moab, on the other side Jordan by Jericho eastward. But unto the tribe of Levi, Moses gave not an inheritance. The Lord God of Israel was their inheritance. And he said, as he said unto them. Now watch chapter 14. And these are the countries which the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of Israel distributed for inheritance to them. So, as you can see in chapter 13, in chapter 12, it says that there is much land to be inherited. And then in chapter 13, it talks about the land that Moses distributed. But there were still cities and land that Joshua needed to conquer and distribute. It says in verse 2, by lot was their inheritance, as the Lord commanded the hand of Moses, for the 9 tribes and for the half tribe. So on this side Jordan, we need to look at what is given to the children of Israel. For Moses had given the inheritance of the 2 tribes and the half tribe. Get it? They have their inheritance. Now God is saying the rest of the tribes, you have to conquer the land for the rest of the 9.5 tribes. So now watch what happens here. In verse 6, Caleb asked for his inheritance. Okay, remember Caleb is a Kenite. He's not even an Israelite, but he's adopted by the tribe of Judah. And so watch what he says. Then the children of Judah came unto Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh the Kenite, said unto him, Thou knowest the thing that the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me and thee in Kadesh Barnea. 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to espy out the land. So he sent him as a spy, regardless of who he was, not being an Israelite. We do know that there were strangers among them too. And I brought him word again, and as it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt, but I wholly followed the Lord my God. So I want my inheritance, as was promised to me. And Moses swore that day, saying, Surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thy inheritance, and thy children's forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. So he's reminding them, I have an inheritance too, and I want it. And now behold, the Lord hath kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years, even since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 85 years old. As yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so my strength now. For war, both to go out and to come in. I'm still ready. Now therefore give me this mountain. This is what I want. Whereof the Lord spake in that day. For thou heardest in that day how the Anakims were there, and that the cities were great and fenced. If so be the Lord will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out, the giants and everybody, as the Lord said. And Joshua blessed him and gave unto Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, Hebron for an inheritance. Hebron therefore became the inheritance of Caleb, the son of Jephunneh the Kenite, unto this day, because he wholly followed the Lord God of Israel. All you have to do is wholly follow the Lord, and he will honor his promise if you honor what you promise him. This is a covenant. If you keep my covenant, I will bless you. If you don't, I will curse you. I set before you life and death. Choose life. Chapter 15. Then was the lot of the tribe of the children of Judah by their families, even the border of Edom, the wilderness of Zin. Southward was the uttermost part of the south coast. And you can read it in your leisure. It goes down to talk about the land that was given to Judah. Now watch verse 8. And the border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom unto the south side of the Jebusite. The Jebusites were in Jerusalem. The same is Jerusalem. So all of this land belonged to Judah, and we know that Judah, by God's direction, God is going to put his name there, and Jerusalem becomes the capital and the place where the Jews, Judah, lived in Jerusalem. And so we read down to verse 12, and verse 13 goes back to what was given to Caleb. Because remember, he's adopted into the tribe of Judah, being a Kenite. But the tribe of Judah adopted him, took him in, and made him a part of their tribe. And verse 13 says, And unto Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, he gave a part among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua, even the city Arba, the father of Anak, which city is Hebron. So the very places where some of the children of Israel were afraid to go in, but Caleb said, we can take it. God has given them that very land. Remember, he said, the very land that you went into and said you could take it, I'm going to give it to you. And so God is honoring that right now. And Caleb drove thence the three sons of Anak, Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai, the children of Anak. He drove them out and took the land. Verse 20 says, this is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families. And from there it goes down throughout the chapter, 15. And verse 63 says, as for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Watch this now. The children of Judah could not drive them out, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Judah at Jerusalem unto this day. The very place that's going to be the place where the Lord puts his name there and Judah is going to dwell and make it their capital city in Israel. They didn't drive the Jebusites out. They couldn't at that time. So sometimes the very place that's going to be your inheritance, your land, was promised to you in the future. You have to have patience before you can get it. And so as we see, Joshua is now leading, well, he has led them into the land, and now he's leading them through the land, conquering cities and conquering kings and dividing the land little by little to the tribes. As the Lord promised Abraham, his seed would inherit the land. God is faithful. I'll see you tomorrow morning with chapter 16 through 20, right here on A Walk Through the Bible with Pastor Mo Edwards.